and thank you for joining Flanders webinar broadcast. I have Julie Davidson on the line, the trade manager for the tourist office for Flanders Brussels. Julie will be leading us in a presentation on Flanders covering topics of what's new and what's always been in the region. I invite you all to type your questions and comments in the chat box, and Julie will field them at the end of her presentation. Julie, are you ready? Moment.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take a moment and thank you for attending. This is of the attendees, old friends, and hopefully we'll make some new friends. So let's get started. So I'm Julie. I'm the trade manager for the Flanders Brussels Belgium. And times when people meet them, is she from? And the answer to that, I am from Brooklyn, New York. But there are 5 of us, and 4 Belgians, and I am the go-to everybody in the office when they go. They're going to their home, their families. Belgium, I'm going to restaurants and new sites. Kind of know Belgium and they do, so they always give suggestions and advice. So hopefully you're a go-to person too. So I thought I would just get started with some basics. A lot of times when we do shows and webinars and we say that we're from Flanders, Belgium, we kind of get some blank looks. So I thought I'd just start out with some basics. And the basics that I want to start out with are what we are and what we're not. So we're not a ski destination. We're not this. And we're not this. But here's what we are. This is an image of Bruges, which to me is one of the absolute most beautiful places. It's perfectly preserved mid. Image of Bruges. This picture here of the flower carp placed every 2 happened. This it'll be again in 2000. What that is about 750,000 begonias that are laid out in a carpet pattern, and it's absolutely fabulous. This is Brussels. That's the tower there is of the City Hall. That square there is the Grand Place. It's absolutely beautiful. This is Ghent, one of my favorite places. That's along the river. That's the Gravenstein, the castle of the counts in Ghent. And another favorite place, this is Antwerp. And this is the brand new museum in Antwerp. It's called the Maas, the Museum on the Stream. That's another picture from Antwerp. That's the Central Station, which is, it was voted by like Time or Newsweek, one of the top 5 rail stations in the world. It's absolutely beautiful. Then there's some smaller cities in Flanders which are not quite as well known. This is one of them. That's Leuven. Not too long ago, bought Anheuser-Busch. They're huge. And this is one of my very favorite places. That's the City Hall in Leuven, which is it's just amazing looking. It's fabulous. And the sixth city that we promote in Flanders is called Mechelen, a smaller city, also really lovely. This is outdoor cafes along by the river there as well. So there are four primary themes that we've identified that really are our strengths, and they are gastronomy, art and architecture, cycling, and the beer is just, it's absolutely fabulous, but there's more to it though than just beer. Those are the mussels and fries, an iconic food from Belgium. Asparagus on the left. Every year there's a crop of white asparagus, and everybody in Belgium goes crazy. Everything, they have all different kinds of dishes made with white asparagus. And on the right-hand side is a very typically Flemish dish. It's called carbonade à la flamande, which is beef that's cooked in a beer sauce that's served with wonderful fries, very hearty and very delicious. There's also a very active, lively food scene happening in Flanders. This is a restaurant, a new restaurant, relatively new restaurant in Ghent called Volta. It's housed in an old power station, and they're doing some very creative cooking there. It's wonderful. Some more food images. And then, of course, you can't talk about Belgium. Here come the chocolate pictures. This image, chocolatier named Anna, who does things. Invention that he created stones. We can't get a stone. It actually was the chocolate snifter for the Rolling Stones. And of course, everybody knows about Belgian waffles. But unlike in North America, like we would tend to eat waffles for breakfast, there it's an afternoon snack that you would have with a coffee. They don't eat them for breakfast there. This is another very typical thing from Ghent. It's mustard that you literally get it from this, it's fresh mustard, and you get it, they scoop it out and put it in the jar for you, and it has to be refrigerated because it's really that fresh. Here comes the beer. The picture on the right is what's known as the lambic beer. They have different kinds of fruity beers, and that one is looks like a framboise, which is raspberry. Very delicious. So the next theme, which of course you can't talk about Flanders without talking about the art and architecture there. This image, a very famous work of art. Another very famous Belgian is René Magritte, and a museum was opened for him in Brussels in 2009. Another very, very famous painter is Peter Paul Rubens, lived and worked in Antwerp, and you can visit his home as well as some of his artwork is in the cathedral there. And that's a picture of the Rubens house is very lovely, as well as the gardens of the Rubens house. That's a picture of it. Another theme is cycling. The whole area there of Flanders is very, very flat, which makes it perfect for cycling. And cycling there is extremely popular. So if you have clients that are into doing cycling but not kills, then Flanders is a perfect. And last but not least is fashion and design. There's a very big movement in Antwerp of local designers who are just doing some very innovative things. So there's a big movement. It's very popular all throughout Belgium. particularly in Antwerp and auctions that have been done by some Flemish artists. This is Tim van Steenbergen. This is Anne de Meulemeester. This is Dries van Noten, who I think actually Michelle Obama has worn some of Dries van Noten's. This is it was an old concert hall that was converted into Antwerp without talking about diamonds. More diamonds are processed, cut, and polished in Antwerp than anywhere else in the world. Amsterdam has a reputation for diamonds because they're quite good at promoting it, but actually most of the diamonds that are passed through in the world are done in Antwerp. This is another one of my favorite places. This is in Mechelen, and this is the Martens Patershof Hotel, just referring to design. This was a church that was desanctified and turned into a hotel, and it's absolutely fabulous. I mean, it's So now I just thought I would talk a little bit about what's coming up in 2012 and beyond. In Mechelen this year, the Kazerne d'Ossin is opening. Part of it has opened already, and the rest will be opening later in the year. And it's a Holocaust memorial museum, and it was a center of deportation where Jews and Gypsies and other groups were rounded up and sent to Poland and other places in Eastern Europe. So that another thing that's quite soon this November is the Historium in Bruges. And what that's all about, it's a five senses. The building is Bruges, perfect location. And what it's all about is it's recreating Bruges in the year 1435, which was the heyday of Bruges. I mean, at that point, Bruges was on the same track as London and Paris as far as population and wealth. So they're creating, it's a five senses experience. Like when you come in there, you'll smell what Bruges smelled like then, and you'll hear the sounds and the sights. And it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful addition to Bruges. Out a there. So now we come to the two things, 2013 and 2014, exciting for us. One is the Red Star Line, which is happening in Antwerp. It'll be open next September 2018. What this is all about is the Red Star Line company that's Antwerp to from the mid-18th to about the mid-19th, and about 2.5 million people emigrated from Eastern Europe to Antwerp, where they boarded the ships and came to the United States. And some went to Canada as well. There were some calls in Halifax. But the Red Star is the buildings there are the only, the original shipping are still there. Just ignored for many, many years, and Antwerp, this amazing fact that we're going to, so there, it's under renovation, and it'll be there. So we're very excited because there are a lot of North American market, and it's sort of like, but at the other end is And for us, because when the people got to Antwerp, they knew that when they boarded the ships that they had what we say is one foot in America. They were on their way to a better life. And just personally, from working on this Red Star Line project, I discovered that one of my grandfathers, came over on the Red Star Line, and it was very exciting. I came into work and I told everyone, and it was as if I'd won the lottery. It was very exciting. So I have a personal connection there. And here are some of the famous people that came on the Red Star Line: Irving Berlin's family, Albert Einstein, and there were many, many others. These are just some images, wonderful old images from the Red Star Line. And not least, up for the 100th anniversary of the start of World War I. So 2014 to 2018 will be a period when the centenary will be observed, and there'll be a in Flanders around, and to make you aware of some of the projects. So this is a picture of the city of Ypres, which every time I look at this picture, this is what Ypres looked like after the war. It was completely and utterly destroyed. And they had a big decision to make after the war about what they were going planes can connect on to India, and then U.S. Airways is flying out of Philadelphia. So this is me. I would be happy to help any of you in any way that I can. If you need information, brochures, anything at all, suggestions, that's our website. That's my phone number and my email address. And as I said, in any way that I can help you sell our destination, it would be my pleasure. So that's the end of my presentation. So thank you very much for your time and attention. And I think there may be some questions. Is that right?
That's right. Perfect, Julie. Thank you so much. I'll just run through the questions to you. We have a question from Sherry. She asks if you could give more information or the name again of the church turned to the hotel.
Yes. It's located in Mechelen, which is Mechelen. That's the name of the city. And Mechelen is about halfway in between Brussels and Antwerp. So it's really close to Brussels. It's maybe 20 minutes at the most by train. The church, the Martins Hof. I'll spell it. It's P-A-E-R-S-O-F. And it's wonderful. I recommend it.
Okay, perfect. I have another question from Sharon. She's asking if there are any iPad apps you can recommend to learn more on Flanders.
Actually, I don't think there are yet. I mean, we're in the process of developing one. That's one of our projects that we're going to be doing for 2013. It's not in place yet. So I would say in the meantime, by all means, to explore our website, which is visitflanders.us. There's tons of great information on our website. But the iPad app will be coming.
Okay, perfect. That's great. I also have another question here from Geneva. She wants to know if there are any packages put together for the centenary.
Again, not just yet. Tourism Flanders, which is our parent organization based in Brussels, is actually working with some DMCs, and they're in the process right now of developing packages which you'll be able to sell. One of the other things, which I was just up in Canada myself recently, and it sort of came to my attention that a lot of Canadian agents like to book with tour operators. So I'm going to be working I'm going to approach tour operators in Canada about putting together some programming. But whether you deal with a tour operator or not, it can help you put together packages yourself. If that's something you want to do, or else when we have the information about the ground operators in Belgium that are going to be doing that program, we can let you know.
Okay, great. We also have a question from Marcy. She's asking if you can say the date again for the 30,000 last post.
It was, oh my goodness, hi Marcy, it was July of 2015. I don't remember the exact date. I could email you that. Let me just.
Field that question about the email webinar. I will be sending out the links and the recorded webinar to the participants. That's no problem at all. You'll receive the webinar in full. If anyone else has any more questions, feel free to email me. Oh, also there's another question here from Sherry asking, in Canada we wear poppies for Remembrance Day, and she was curious if that's a tradition they also do in Flanders.
They do. They do, and really, truly, in Flanders Fields, the poppies really do grow. So, yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, cheers. Thanks, everyone, for participating today. If you have any more questions for Julie, you can send her an email, or you can send an email to Jacqueline at jbester@baxter.net, and she'll send it off to Julie as well. All participants will be receiving the webinar and the links to the webinar presentation. And I wanted to thank you, Julie, for being here today with us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for moderating, and thank you everybody for attending. And again, as I said, any way that I can help you with information, whatever, please be in touch.
Oh, just one more quick question before we sign off here. Tracy was asking when are the poppies in bloom in Flanders?
That's a good question, Tracy. I think it's in the springtime, but I wouldn't swear to that. I'm trying to think when I was there and I saw them. I think it was in the springtime, which would make sense, right? I think so, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that as Canadians, we identify